where's Jesus? As Jesus grew up, he learned more and more about God. Jesus is God. How can he learn more and more about himself? Because Jesus is God.
That's a great question, Emily.
So how can he learn more and more about himself? Because it said Jesus grew up. He learned more and more about God, his Father.
As a Christian, I consider Jesus a prophet, but he's a prophet of the one God. There's not several. So as a Christian, I worship Allah.
The concept of God was very bizarre growing up. I didn't understand how 3 could equal 1. And so when I heard about Islam and they told me about all the attributes of God, this was like eye-opening. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it.
I started questioning it at the early age of 12. That doesn't make any sense. If Jesus was God, then how can God die on the cross, and who was supporting the universe? How?
I believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. In a more philosophical way, I believed he was God himself, of course. I believed in the resurrection and crucifixion of Christ, of course. And I believed in the atonement. But because the Trinity is a very complex concept, whether you believe it or not, it's still very complex. Because if there is a God in the Bible, it says God is eternal. But if you are eternal and in the same you die, you cannot be eternal, immortal at the same time. So that was something when I was a little older, 16, 17, I started questioning things like that. It's not very logical. I talked to many priests, preachers, even rabbis, and the answers I got weren't very satisfying. That made it for me kind of complex. And in the end, I had some doubts about stuff like this. But I said, well, I set it aside and I thought, okay, I just believe it, and perhaps I'm not smart enough to get the whole picture. And I still believed in God. I still believed that Jesus was a very important person. I believed he was the Son of God, but how it exactly was, I left it for what it was.
In Christianity, I was like, when people asked me about the Trinity, I literally couldn't explain it. I was like, wow, you're right. I haven't even thought about it like that. So it makes sense. Islam makes sense. Islam is so beautifully making sense.
I started researching it and looked deep down into it, and this is making a whole lot more sense. Just the unity of God and all of his prophets. And I gotta say that there is no God but God, and Muhammad is his messenger.
I never chose a religion. One time, and it was when I became a Muslim. Before that, I didn't choose my religion. I was born in a Christian family. I was raised in a Christian way. And I'm very grateful for all the good things that it brought me. But it was not my decision. And the only time I made a decision was me becoming a Muslim. And it was the most, like I said, I think the most important decision I made. And it was the most rational decision I made. I never took years and years to decide one thing, only becoming a Muslim. I became much more happy after I became Muslim. So I would like to invite everybody to become a Muslim, just because it brings peace to your soul and peace to your heart. It is the truth. It resonates with heart and soul.